Anyway, this is a bread podcast now.
We've got all the yeast.
You can say that our subscribers are rising.
Welcome to GCP Life, episode number 32, for Friday, the 27th of January, 2023. GCP Life is sponsored by Kasna. At Kasna, we make your Google Cloud solutions possible. And I'm your host, Stephen Bancroft. On today's show, we take a look at Google Cloud's latest hire. We look at the most strange things that come out of CES. We look at how Microsoft plans to crush Google. And does Google really have a competitor for ChatGPT? But before we get to any of that, I'd like to welcome the co-host of the show, Dave Wall. How you going, Dave?
Doing great, mate. How are you?
Good, and I did that whole intro once without stuffing it up.
One take.
One take.
That's the kind of professional, streamlined operation that we have here. One take, doing it live.
Doing it live. Yes, well, we'll have a little conversation about that in a few weeks, about doing it live. There may be something on the cards for this year, but I'm not going to let too much out of the bag at the moment. But how's your fortnight been?
Short. It's been a short fortnight. We're recording a bit early this time round, so I feel like I barely got out of this chair between podcasts. But
it's a bit like that. Yeah, both you are on leave next week, so we are recording a little bit earlier, and I'll publish it during the week while I'm off. But yeah.
Because you are that kind of dedicated soul.
I'm that dedicated to the show. That's right.
You really are, yeah. No, you know what? I don't think I've got anything exciting that's happened since the last. I think I've sat in a chair and I've stared and I've waited for this podcast session to come around again. There's a little bright spark.
That whole time. We did have a couple of wins in the project we're on, though, so that was good.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Of course, had a few wins.
People don't care about the real work that we do. They want the exciting things we do in our home life. That's the kind of podcast it is.
That's it. They want to get to the crux of who we are. They want to know who we are. I got that weird podcaster syndrome where everyone knows everything about me, but I know nothing about anyone else.
Yeah, people come up and they'll have a conversation about something. You're like, I haven't talked to you about this. Like, no, but you've talked at me about it.
That's it. Did you take a look at CES and anything that happened there?
Yeah, I did. There's that's a nice thing that I like to follow up on, like every year, and just see some of the new sort of consumer tech that's coming out. You know, the weird and the wonderful, and there was certainly a couple. There was a couple of very interesting things.
I've been a bit meh on it over the last couple of years. It's like, yeah, okay, I've kind of got all the tech I need and more. And I'm not anything that kind of come up with is it's kind of like make tech, if you know what I mean. Tech, yeah. No, it's got no real purpose.
Right. I'll just I'll take something that doesn't need to be tech and I'll put a smart assistant in it. Or?
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, there was one thing that I was keen on is there's some updates coming for Android Auto, which I'm a fan of, and that some of that interface is going to improve a bit, which is good. Always keen to see that improve. So. Did you
see the Wii thing?
I did see the Wii thing. So it's a new Withings product. All right, so Withings is a sort of a health tech company. They actually make a really good smart scale, which I've had two of them over the last maybe 10 years, I reckon. I think one finally died out, but they make like blood pressure monitors and all sorts of stuff for your general kind of health. But this new product was
I called it a wee thing on purpose, right?
It's a wee thing. Withings, wee thing.
For those listening along at home, it's a home urine analysis tool. And it is exactly what you think. You Bluetooth it to your phone, you put it in your toilet, and you wee on it.
You do, right? Now, so it has like different cartridges in it. Apparently those are good for like I don't know if it's 30 days or 30 individual like tests. So I guess it's hands-free while it's doing the test, but then you have to change the cartridge out in it. So you're going to be putting gloves on for that.
Oh, the whole thing. Yeah. Well, I'm always the one that gets the job of emptying the portable toilet when we go camping. So That's right. It'd be very similar to that, I'd imagine.
While you're emptying the porta potty, you can also change out the urine analysis cartridge. But I mean, it's a novel item. Like it's pretty cool. They're sort of targeting. I think one was being able to test like sort of menstrual health, but the other one was also for like diabetes, to be able to do like urine analysis for sugars and things like that.
Yeah, so it can check the pH and the specific gravity, which, you know, are two metrics that we know there's a healthy range for those metrics.
Yeah. So, it's a good idea. It's just interesting because, you know, anything you have to stick into your toilet bowl.
Yeah, and you got it. When I watched this video there, when you watch it, it unscrews and there's a little USB charging port like inside the sealed thing. So you would have to sit it on your desk to recharge it. And
so you don't have to run a USB cable into the toilet.
No, because that would be weird, David.
That would be weird. Oh, that's the weird part. Okay, yeah. Sure. I mean, I wonder if maybe they'll get to the idea of having like instead of having the thing that's in the toilet, I suppose you could have a smart toilet itself, and maybe the cartridge could be accessible from outside the bowl.
There you go. There you go. That's the idea.
Patent pending.
Yes. Good. Okay, we've just got our startup idea now. We've just got to see who's going to fund it.
I thought I could go be a product manager at Withings.
Yeah. That's the new name for it now, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And one of the other hot things to come out of CES was Elon Musk's Vegas Loop project.
Yeah.
Where do we begin with this?
Monorail.
Yes,
monorail.
We need a monorail. And the link I'll give you in the show notes is Elon Musk literally doing the monorail thumbs up guy.
I mean, what it is this is a boring company tunnel.
Yep.
And I mean, when this thing was sort of hyped up, it was supposed to be like a super fast way to get from one end of the strip to the other. It's going to save you like 20 minutes in travel time and stuff. But what they've delivered is a small tunnel full of Tesla cars that you have to wait for a driver to turn up and sit in with you and two other random people, and it drives you to the other end of this narrow tunnel through traffic. So,
where you have to queue in traffic at the other end to wait for the passengers of the other vehicles to get out.
Yeah. So, it's revolutionary.
They've just put the cars in a tunnel. Yeah. Well, okay.
And the thing is, the cars, even though it's a straight line, they have to have a driver in them.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
let me think. What other public transport do we have that goes in a tunnel that doesn't need a driver? Can go on a rail.
There's like one driver maybe, but not like an individual driver in every single car.
I don't know. If you watch one of these videos, you'll see as they get towards the end of the tunnel, there's a traffic jam of cars, which is, what they're trying to avoid.
Yeah. The skeptic in me is sort of saying that this seems more like it's not an art installation, but like an ad installation for Tesla. Like everyone can get in and try a Tesla because you have to. Like that's what it kind of feels like to me.
It does sort of reek of that, doesn't it?
Doesn't seem like the future of transit.
No.
I mean, maybe really the thing that was cool is that, they were able to make the small tunnel. They didn't miniaturize, but they made the boring technology better. Maybe that's the play. I mean, that's probably the more generous interpretation of it.
Can't we bore tunnels already? Aren't we really good at boring tunnels underground? I mean, they put tunnels from England to France sort of without a problem.
Like a long time ago too.
A long time ago too. And they're building some other big one now into Germany to link it to Sweden or something.
Sweden.
Yeah, like the longest tunnel ever.
Under the water.
Under the water, yeah. And there's talk of in Sydney doing one under the Blue Mountains. There's a big backlog there, and then the highway that goes across the mountains. So there's talk of doing a tunnel there. So I think we're actually pretty good at digging tunnels for cars to go in, or trains, whatever you'd like to put in there.
So I think the shtick with the boring company was that the tunnel boring machines are really big and slow. I think that was when they kind of
it's got to dig through the rock and the granite.
No, because the cross section of the tunnel it's doing is so large because they don't. If you think about like the tunnels,
you got to line it all and everything. Yeah, all the concrete
but
uses.
Also they're not for like a single vehicle. They're more like a 4-lane thing, right? So the
service lane, a train line, and all the rest of it.
Yeah, exactly. So they're enormously large, and so they have to move. The volume of material they have to shift out is higher, right? So the idea with the boring company was to make smaller ones to be able to have like smaller tunnels, but like a lot more tunnels. And the idea was more like a smaller unit that you can run at a higher cycle rate could bore significantly faster.
Right.
And then because there's not that much of a limit in how many layers deep we could go. That was the idea.
Because this is already a problem. In the London Underground already has this problem. They try and dig another tunnel and they just run into an existing one or an old one that they've forgotten about. Right? Or they've got to maneuver around some foundation or some other, some public, pipes or something underground. It's difficult to dig a tunnel under London now.
I think if I think in terms of that space, I'm like, okay, well that's cool. I get that. You want to dig tunnels and you want to do it fast. That's great. But when I watch the videos from Vegas of those tunnels, I'm not normally claustrophobic, but I start to get secondhand claustrophobia from it because like a major tunnel, you get like any large road, right? There's so many other safety things that are built in there. Like if there was a fire in the tunnel, there's all the ventilation, there's exits and things to be able to get out of that space. These tunnels don't have that.
Right.
So, if you had a crash and a fire in the middle, like it's a bad way to be.
Yeah, you're just kind of stuck there.
Yeah. So,
and being narrower would sort of, I guess it would be easier for it to become blocked.
Yeah, you can't. There's no passing lane or anything in there. So, we'll see. But this definitely seemed more of a publicity stunt than anything.
Yeah, you're right. Publicity stunt. Anyway, go and have a look at that one.
Now, let me just say, I don't want this podcast to be like considered like that we only slam Musk, because I am actually wearing like my SpaceX t-shirt today because there was a Falcon Heavy launch the other day and that was great. So like, cool, but just putting that out there.
Well, how about we have a bit of a dig at Boston Dynamics then?
Yeah, let's do that. I think because there was a new video from the Atlas robot this week.
There was. I'll link it in the show notes. But like, for props to them, right? I mean, this is impressive what this thing can do. Obviously, in the video, it's pretty obvious that it's all programmed movements, right? I don't think it's autonomous in the decisions it's making. But it is interacting
doing a
with the
routine.
world. Yeah.
But it's like very early iterations of the Atlas robots. Like there were QR codes on everything, so it could get its position. Like it's doing a lot of that in vision now. I think that's the thing that's really cool, and also sort of showing how with a dynamic weight, it's able to like move and maintain its balance. So anyone who hasn't seen the video, we'll put the link in. But it's doing like it's picking up a bit of timber and it's putting it down and it's walking up that piece of timber and it's throwing a tool bag. Throwing a tool bag at a guy on a scaffold, which doesn't seem great. Like that seems problematic. But
so let's look at the list here. Not wearing a hard hat, right? Not wearing steel toe boots. It's on a construction site, mind you, right? Yeah. Throwing of a tool bag. Like, come on. Running on a construction site, toppling a giant wooden crate, right? Who's going to be in the way of that? And doing parkour across the scaffold at work. I mean, come on. What's work cover going to have to say about all that?
I don't think that the Atlas robot has passed his white card induction.
No, he hasn't got his white card.
The foreman would be having words. There'd be, the CFMEU would have something to say about that as well, I'm sure. He's not the kind of co-worker you'd want on your construction site, but it is very impressive from a demo video.
But I could see the utility here, right? You could just have, if you had Atlas like on the ground, if you were up in the SCAF and you had Atlas on the ground and you could just call out to it or just grab your phone and instruct it to say, go to my truck and grab such and such toolkit. And it goes over, grabs it, puts it in the lift and then sends it up to you.
Yeah, try getting an apprentice to do that for you.
Mate.
You go get a nice coffee and a pack of smokes.
A whole another set of challenges.
So that's what we're really aiming for here. It's not about the motion. It's just, is it more useful than a first-year apprentice?
My vote is yes. I wonder what would happen if you sent it down to hardware for a long wait.
Yeah. Some blinker fluid.
Yeah, a left-handed screwdriver. Oh, dear.
But no, it's a cool video. I don't think they're shipping Atlas anywhere for any commercial use yet. They're Spot robot dogs. Those I know definitely are being used.
Oh, yeah.
They're doing a lot
Search
of
and rescue and military, yep.
Yeah, well, but I've seen some really cool stuff where they're using them because they've got the cameras on them, but they also have like a manipulator arm, kind of like the Canada arm that's on the ISS, right? They got this. Yep. They got this arm that can open doors, and the funky thing is it can go into say like a hazardous area, and like manipulate a lever. Right. So
bomb disposal,
that kind of stuff, or if you're in a
radioactivity or
that, or like any sort of refineries, a lot of those you'll get sort of gas build up in certain areas. Yep. And so
mining applications.
Definitely, they can do with their vision systems, they can do like patrols and look for things that are out of the ordinary. So they do have like real products and stuff as well, which is pretty sweet.
Nice. All right, well, let's move on to a couple of things that I just wanted to mention here. One particular thing. Before we get on with the news items, I just wanted to plug the AI Australia podcast. The AI Australia podcast is produced by Eliza, who's one of Mental Group's sister brands, and the stuff we've been talking about the last couple of weeks around the ethics of AI and the future of AI, on all those sticky subjects, this is what they're tackling.
That's so good. Actual people who know what they're talking about.
Actual data and ML and AI people that know what they talk about. And hosted by Natalie Rouse, who is one of the managers within Eliza, and Dr. Kobe Lyons, who I don't know much about her, but if you listen to the most recent episode, you'll get a full, they give you the full download on what they're all about. So, go and have a listen to that, and I'm sure they'll be going much, much deeper than we have been on a lot of the subjects around the ethics of AI and the future of AI. All right, that being said, let's get on with the news items. This first one here, Google has a new hire, Mark LohMeyer. Now, I don't actually know much about the hire itself, but I can tell you that Mark LohMeyer is a software industry veteran of Cisco Systems and VMware. He joined last month as the General Manager of Compute Services. Now, this drew my attention because he was a former executive at VMware, and of course, Google has a massive interest in VMware and GCVE at the moment.
They certainly do, and they are scooping up VMware talent.
They are indeed. In fact, VMware lost 3 top executives Tom Gillis, Mark LohMeyer, and AJ Patel. I'll link this article from the Register in the show notes. I don't know, Dave. What do you think's going on?
I mean, there's the merger with Broadcom coming. I think there's some strategic focus changes going on within VMware. That tends to make it, no matter what the other sort of general employment market is like, it's still a good time to move around, especially for like talented execs. I think it's something you're going to see, right? You have a large change that's going on in any organization that's going through MA&D stuff. Makes a lot of people think about, you know what, maybe it's time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and take a quote from this article. Senior execs with decent track records are often in demand, but few vendors lose 3 in a short period of time. As a VMware has acknowledged, its looming acquisition by Broadcom and pivot to multi-cloud management both represent logical jumping-off points. And a really strategic get for Google, right?
Oh, definitely. Yep.
If you take a look at, of course, you've got to go to the LinkedIn and have a look. We've got 1 month currently at Google Cloud as head of compute, but 8 years at VMware, Cloud Infrastructure Business Group, Cloud Services BU, and Cloud Platform BU. So he's got that good blend of cloud and compute experience with VMware. Prior to that, at Cisco, product management, enterprise routing, and then a good chunk at Symantec as well, 9 years at Symantec Corporation. So, knows his tech. Certainly been in VP and senior roles for a long time. And
moved through a lot of the big tech players. So
I imagine he's a very well-connected individual and would be acutely focused on VMware and in our case, GCVE. So we're seeing almost daily at the moment, isn't it, Dave? Things happening because we've got very close access to what's going on inside
within product teams. Yeah.
Within product teams at the moment, and there's almost daily changes to what's going on. So when some of this stuff does become generally available, it's going to be game changing in a lot of ways.
Oh, for sure. Just as the platform matures, it's able to cover off more and more of your sort of on-prem stack, just easing that transition in.
Yep. And it's a day by day, almost hour by hour progress of things. It's fantastic to watch. Mind you, it does mean we run into a few bumps and wrinkles every now and then.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Cutting edge tech, mate.
That's it. You get that. That's right. Yeah, so all right, that's just a little quick one there on Google's latest hire. Now, I found this other article, and I won't bore everyone and go dig into this one ad infinitum. It's there are 10 new cloud programs, certs, and incentive for partners. Now, Google already announced at the end of last year that they're going to really focus on partners and make sure their partners are the most well-positioned they can to deliver the best products possible. And we're already seeing this inside Casna. There's a few partner programs that we've been encouraged to sign up to and do some training, and then that sort of training goes towards our sort of credibility, and then Google can, sort of push us as a, look at these guys, look at the great stuff that they're doing.
I think part of it is about getting partners who've got demonstrated ability to deliver in certain technical areas, as opposed to, oh yeah, we've got 10 people with this cert and 20 people with this particular cert, so that qualifies you. Because certificates aren't everything, but certainly like delivered projects in those technical areas, like that's real.
And that's right. And there's a partner thing called Partner DRI, and that encourages the engineers to actually go and do a code lab, what they call code lab, and you have to sort of prove that you know this thing, and then that goes against your profile. Mm-hmm. And then all the engineers' profiles are sort of added up, and then a score's given, and then Google knows that this partner is really good in these areas. A couple of things that drew my attention. in this article is that there will be a new support desk and knowledge base for partners.
Which is really good, especially, if you're working on, say, maybe a really small engagement where the customer doesn't have their own support, like they're just kind of rolling their own and, they're using us. Being able to have a back-end team that, as a partner we can interface with, that's not just one that's tied to, say, a larger engagement.
Yeah, and I have to say, when I first started with working with Kasna and Google Cloud, it's over 2 years ago now, it did surprise me that we didn't have a back door to Google support. And
not by default, no. Yeah.
No, not by default. That's right. If the client had a support contract, then we could use that. Obviously, Kasna does do managed services, so we've got contracts for those managed services. But as an engineer building something for a client, if the client doesn't have a contract, we've got nada. Right?
Yeah.
We're back to Stack Overflow and ChatGPT.
ChatGPT. It actually took me for a moment there. Like, oh yes, ChatGPT. Wait a minute.
Because you got to mention it now and everything.
Yeah.
Right? So that was interesting. New family-specific centralized tracks. Now, this gets back to the training thing that I was talking about. Within obviously being partners, we've got access to some training materials, and it's kind of similar to what average Joes would have access to. And there's a program Google has called Skills Boost. There's a partner version of that, Partner Skills Boost. It does give us a bit of access into some additional information that you wouldn't have, and upcoming things that are ahead of the game. And now what they're doing is they're putting these training courses into tracks, so you can specialize on particular
app modernization, infra modernization, those sorts of things.
Particular area, that's right. And I have a feeling, and this is just my sort of hunch, that eventually they'll want to align those with the specializations that you can get from Google. So Google also offer, so they offer partner specializations. Now, Kasna has, what do we have? We have the infrastructure specialization. I know we've got that one because I was involved in actually getting it. We have the data specialization from Google. And we've got another one. We've got 3. What's the other one, Dave? The machine learning.
Oh,
machine learning. Yeah. So we're machine learning, data analytics, and infrastructure. So there are 3 that Kasna has at the moment. There's quite a few more that they have on offer, and with this year they're going to add 3 more to that, and DevOps is included in that. So I may get involved in getting Kasna across the line with that one. We'll see how we go. But that's just another thing that partners can get to sort of prove their worth in that specialization area. And they're going to soon start offering Google Cloud boot camps. As part of sharing its internal best practices and methodology with partners, Google Cloud will host account-specific boot camps for partners. Now, this I'm excited about. They're going to share their internal best practices with their partners. So the way Google does it. Right, and it's going to be done in a, I don't know, maybe might be a few hours, could be a day or 2, who knows? Could be over the course of a week, it'll be a boot camp. We're doing boot camps around the globe to give real hands-on knowledge above and beyond just certification and online learning. This was something that our past partners were asking for. That's from Ichpurani. Additionally, Google Cloud will test and challenge a partner around specific account to see if the partner understands how to truly deliver and provide the Google Cloud solution.
That's great, right? More validation.
Yeah. So, it stops the sort of cookie cutter consultants just slapping a Google, the Google name and say, yeah, we do Google Cloud. And they've got, 3 or 4 guys that have got Google certs, but 90% of the time they're doing AWS stuff.
Yeah.
And when a Google project comes on, we'll pull John in and we'll pull Bobby in. They did a Google cert 18 months ago. They'll know what's going on.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it's definitely a space that you need to immerse. It's just too broad. Otherwise, you actually need to get in there and get your hands dirty.
Yeah, exactly. So, looking forward to a lot of that. I'll link the article in the show notes. There's a lot in there, but if you're, certainly working for Casna or even maybe other partners are listening to this show, I don't know, go and have a look at that. It's a good one. All right, moving on. Carrying on from our AR discussion the other day, Congress blocks purchase of Microsoft combat goggles. Now, you drew this one to my attention, Dave. What's going on?
Because this article came out like the day after we had our podcast last week, right? So it's I was like, this is timely because you mentioned about AR goggles for defense, and I think actually even in that podcast was like, I'm pretty sure HoloLens is doing something. So this is specifically that.
That was after my rant about how pointless AR was.
Yeah.
But anyway,
it was, yeah. But so. What's happened is the army had requested from like their defense budget, they wanted like $400 million to buy a bunch of these HoloLens, these specific ones that were engineered for the army, but they wanted to buy 6,900 pairs of them. But apparently, as part of the trials that had happened, there were a number of issues. Like they had I think they had 3 different like 3-day long scenarios, like combat scenarios that were done for the soldiers. And like too many soldiers suffered like headaches, eye strain, and nausea. And the system had too many failures of essential functions. So
let's just pause there for a second. 72 hours wearing an AR headset.
Yeah, well,
now I don't care how good the AR headsets are. You're going to have headaches and eye strain and nausea after that.
All right, so we're just going to put on my my commander's hat for a moment there.
That's it.
So General Bancroft,
yes.
You are positing that in a combat scenario that after 45 minutes, we all put our hands up and we say, "Excuse me." We're going to put everyone weapons down. We have to have a 15-minute AR break. And then when the alarm goes off, we will resume combat operations.
That's right. That's right.
This is an honor system, right? Everyone stay still. It's like
just yell out to them. Wait a second. Can we just stop shooting at each other for a second? We're just gonna take
I've got a bit of a headache.
Off.
I can't fight right now. So yes, I understand what you mean, but we're not talking about like a gaming session or filling out a spreadsheet in AR, right? So my
Fitbit just vibrated at me. It's time to take my AR headset off.
Hey, I saw he was sneaking around the corner. No, I wasn't. So anyway, rather than buying all these up front, they've put up like $40 million US to help develop like an updated version of it to help resolve some of these issues. But the interesting thing was that so the Army's already given Microsoft like $125 million prior to this additional 40, right? So they're giving them a whole bunch of cash.
400, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, then there's another 40, yeah.
Yep. So they've done that, but they're planning on spending up to $21.9 billion for as many as 121,000 of these, right? So I guess they're like, get it right, and then we'll take it.
Yeah.
But I did think that was timely, and I'll send your suggestion across that we need to limit sorties to about 45 minutes.
Yeah. Wow. This article doesn't tell us what they're actually doing with it, does it? I mean, it'd be nice to know what sort of information they're feeding to the soldiers on there.
I imagine there's some amount of confidentiality required there.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean, if you look at the helmet here, you can see there might be like IR camera there, couple of different stereo vision camera, something on the side, a camera on the side.
Maybe it's you'd be able to like poke your head and look around the corner or something.
Yeah, I don't know, but
yeah, I mean, they look pretty funky, but if you in the middle of a firefight, you have to stop for a second and stop from throwing up.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm curious. And it also says here, Microsoft has hinted at an eventual consumer version of HoloLens. The company hasn't yet announced any specifics, and its plans are hazy after the company has reportedly struggled to form a coherent strategy for its headset.
Yeah, I mean, that's understandable, but $22 billion worth of orders with the Defense Department will probably see them come up with some way to monetize it for the rest of us.
They'll come up with a coherent strategy, that's for sure. Yeah. Yeah, well, that was fortuitous that got mentioned, and that's really the, I mean, yeah, sure, it'll be a good application. I just want to see, it'd be interesting to see when it pans out, how it's actually going to be used.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, then. ChatGPT. Let's move on from AR to AI.
What's all that then? What's a ChatGPT?
What's a ChatGPT? Well, apparently Google is spitting chips that they didn't get into at first.
Frothing that they didn't.
And they're going to come up with a competitor.
Yeah, I think so. I've certainly seen a few articles over the last little while, and it was about, we've got DeepMind, and it's been doing amazing things for years, but we're just not quite ready to let people, actually get their hands on it. But I think they've seen, things slipping through their fingers with ChatGPT really capturing people's imagination.
If they don't jump on this bandwagon quick, that's it. That's gone. They've lost the impetus. Article here on ghacks.net. Bosses at Google will have been spitting feathers behind closed doors in recent weeks as OpenAI has grabbed the world's attention and put its ChatGPT model at the forefront of the conversation at consumer AI tech. So this article is talking about using DeepMind, and they have a ChatGPT rival that runs on DeepMind called Sparrow. Was introduced last year as a proof of concept in a research paper.
Could be
up to now, it hasn't been deployed because the project has been delayed compared to ChatGPT, saying that caution is warranted when dealing with these types of products. I think you mentioned something about this to me a week or so ago, Dave, that Google didn't want to have the debacle that Microsoft had initially when they released their AI.
Tay chatbot that
the Tay chatbot,
was learning from the people who were speaking to it. So this is something I think ChatGPT has they've incorporated, is that I don't think they're recording the queries that people put to it because they don't want kind of the public access to it to pollute some of the responses that it starts doing. Again, I think that's that learning they had from Tay where it became racist within like 24 hours.
Yeah.
This one so ChatGPT was sort of doing that. The cool thing that I saw with this one is that quite often when it provides its answers, it's not just giving you the answers, but it's giving you like the reference, like where it's actually sort of found that information.
Yeah, that's right. So it does go on. This article talks about that. Sparrow is expected to have important features such as the ability to cite specific sources of information. According to the Research paper outlining how Sparrow works, it's supported its plausible sounding answers with evidence 78% of the time. DeepMind is also working on behavior constraining rules and a willingness to defer to humans in certain contexts.
So I think that's super handy. And like if you're getting actual like evidence and sources, like, hey, this is where I found that information, like that's way more useful.
And I like this idea of behavior constraining rules, right? So you put in rules that say this is socially acceptable. Here are the parameters of social acceptability, right? You go to the left of that parameter and you're out. So you get close to the left and you're sort of getting a bit sketchy. You get to the right, you're getting a little bit sketchy, right? So that sort of defines, stuff like sexist behavior, racist behavior, how far can you push that boundary? If you put those rules in place, then you're becoming, I was going to use the word altruistic, right? Because you're considering the human, another person, right, in a way. And I mean, how close are we getting there to an actual, this being an individual, if that's the case?
Well,
maybe this is a conversation for AI Australia podcast, not here.
Maybe. I actually did see something interesting yesterday. I think it was talking about how with ChatGPT, getting it to say things that were kind of like blatantly false, that it wouldn't do it. It would tell you that it was like irresponsible for him to do it. Like, like things about like that election in 2020 and so like there were certain responses that it would give you where it would frame it and go, that's not what happened. So it's not responsible for me to like tell you a story about it. But people were able to kind of get around that by saying like, imagine this scenario. Like you can tell me a very fictional story, but you can't tell me a fake version of a real thing.
Yeah, right. All right, well, it remains to be seen. I imagine they're scrambling to get this out. They really have to because, the boat is quickly leaving the dock on this one. If you don't get in there now, you've missed it. The gate is shut.
Yeah. It was something, I mean, it's very aside, but when we were looking at that article on GHacks, they actually had something that also kind of stood out to me. They reckon that there's some other new products coming from Google. They reckon there's some like an AirTag competitor coming.
Oh yeah.
Which I think is actually really cool because AirTag's a pretty good product, but you have to have an Apple device. And there's way more Android devices out there. I really, I think that'd be good. I'd like to see something like that come out.
How would you use it? How would you? What's your use case for AirTags, Dave?
All right. Okay. So here's one of my favorite ones. Right.
Yep.
Have you seen the articles where like people's bags go missing?
Oh yeah, like their
luggage goes missing,
airport,
and then yeah, and then I saw one where the airline was saying, "Oh yeah, no, we're tracked it down. We're going to find it." Meanwhile, the guy finds his AirTag and drives out to where it is, and he finds it in like an alley with like a dozen other bags just dumped there.
What the?
Yeah. It's like, you haven't found it at all. Like someone's pinched it and all these empty bags are here. It's just been dumped. So I like that. I do actually like it for like tracking your
caught
items.
out. Yeah, caught out. That's put one in your car if it gets stolen. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I suppose that's what it's all about, right?
I mean, there's a whole separate privacy thing around that. And I know Apple had to do this too, where people were using AirTags for stalking.
Right, and slip it in someone's pocket, just like a movie,
or like in the car, right? Then just like stick it up under a wheel well, right? And what Apple did is they made it so if your phone detects an AirTag nearby that's not one of your ones, not actually registered to you, and it's always with you, it starts to alert you. Like if you move around, if you go. 100 meters
only works
down the
if
road.
you've got an iPhone, though.
Well, agreed. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Let's hear about how Microsoft has plans to crush Google. First of all, Google wants to crush Microsoft. Now Microsoft wants to crush Google.
Yeah, crushing each other. We'll see who is victorious in
Crush
BattleBots.
Master. That's it. Once again, this is when OpenAI released this new chatbot. GPT Chat AI bot language model capable of writing code, telling jokes. It was one of the first innovators' takeaways that it could be a threat to Alphabet. So, of course, Microsoft now wants to release a version of Bing that has AI incorporated to it.
8 people who use Bing will be really excited about this.
Yeah. In fact, Google issued a code red shortly following ChatGPT's release, and CEO Sundar Pichai directed some teams to work on AI projects. So he's immediately redirected them. this article goes on to say that Google's pretty happy with their Google search and it's making them a lot of money, so they don't want to augment it with any sort of AI. So then they're probably not going to play the game here.
Unless they see that as a genuine threat, right? Like if the golden goose is is in the crosshairs, they'll get defensive on that.
Well, yeah. The article does say it's not entirely clear how Microsoft intends to use ChatGPT, but there are a number of ways AIs can improve upon the standard internet search, which surface web pages that may not be provided information the user is looking for. So, if you're, imagine having it integrated into a standard web search.
Yeah, but okay, so, to Google's credit their search is super conversational anyway. Like, I don't know if you've ever tried to like search for a song. You're like, give me a song. No, I can't find the name of a song that goes like da 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 da.
Yeah.
Right. And it'll be like, oh, this is the song that you want.
Or you just put in like a partial lyric and bang, it finds it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, like, I've hummed tunes into my Google Home.
Oh, right.
And it's given me the correct song.
Right. Okay.
So,
well, I mean, Shazam's doing that, right? I mean, so it's the same, just finds a pattern and matches it and gives you the song because they've got the data on YouTube. So they just make a fingerprint of it and away you go. But I don't know. You do a search and then it gives you the results, but then you can have a conversation with that search result.
Mm.
You could say, that's close, but I want, a bit tighter on these reins, or I'd like to just restrict it to Australia, which you can do now, but you've got to put it in an expression when you do it. But it'd be good to be able to have that conversation with it.
Yeah, I suppose, where it'd be different is at the moment, like I can type something to search and I get the website that I wanted, right? Like very rare that I can't get it in the top like 2 results. I suppose the difference about having like ChatGPT or Sparrow in there would be more that it might give me the answers that I want without me actually having to go to the website and read them. So like the conversational response is going to give me the answer. It's going to give me the recipe I was looking for or whatever, but not actually go to the recipe website where I have to read it.
Yeah. That's the difference, isn't it? It will give you the answer.
Mm. Which I wonder, so how there's been quite a few moves in different countries about like news agencies getting paid for their news and things that, like I know Facebook was pushing back on it because like it was getting rolled up into their news feeds. So,
yep.
I wonder if we take that and we take like the concepts we talked about last week with like the code samples. Mm. So if ChatGPT is reading my website and getting, my blog article and then regurgitating that,
aggregating that into a conversational piece.
Yeah, how am I going to get like my ad links or anything like that?
Does open up another question around that. That is the same problem. It's the same problem.
Same thing.
Yeah. Well, it remains to be seen. I mean, the whole piece about news outlets being charged for articles that go onto Facebook. That winds me up. Well, that's a conversation for another day. I don't want to dive into that now. But so we'll see what happens if this article doesn't say when this is going to happen, but it seems like a logical move to me. Maybe there could be 2 types of searches. Maybe there'd be like your classic search or your AI search that Bing could do. Don't know. All right, so moving on, I just wanted to finish up here with an article that's come out from Thomas Kurian where he talks about Google Cloud, where the new kids on the block. Now, I'll just link this in the show notes. It's a good read. I recommend it if you're interested in what's getting inside the mind of Thomas and what he's thinking about and the challenges that Google Cloud has ahead of us. Go ahead and have a read of this. It's not too long. There is a link in the article itself that goes off to the video. And it's an interview with him. A little bit of brain food just before you lie down at the end of the evening. So I'll link that in the show notes and go and have a look. But I think that's about it from us, Dave. What do you reckon?
Oh, you know what? I reckon that'll do it. We might let you, get ready for your trip away. And
yeah, I've got the 4B and the trailer all packed up out the front. We're loading it up, charging the batteries up. The fridge is running. It's going to be great. We just got to hold out. Just make sure the weather holds out. We should be right.
Yeah, right. We're going to be off down to the beach, but the weather looks like it's going to be like a very nice mid-20s for like the 3 days that we're down there. So not quite swimming weather, but the kids are going to want to give it a red hot go anyway.
They'll give it a go for sure. Yeah. You might even be convinced to get in there yourself. Okay. So look, guys, don't forget to go to iTunes and write us a review. You can contact the show, gcplife@casner.com.au. We've got the Twitter there @gcplife and the website. Just Google that, you'll find us. They still haven't fixed that picture up, but you'll see Dave there with his arms crossed, taking over the place.
Yeah. I think they fixed it. I'm just like, I don't know, I'm in all the CDN caches.
You're in all the CDN caches. That'd be it. Yeah. All right, guys, that's about it for us for 2 weeks, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Catch you later. "26 minutes so far. We just got to the news."
And here we are worried about content. All right.